Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the Midvale City Council, to be followed by the Midvale City Redevelopment Agency meeting on this 7th day of December, 2021. I was reminded this weekend, it just passed, by my brother who came into possession of a literature book that my mother had. She was a elementary school teacher, and inside the flyleaf she wrote her name and dated it December 9th, 1941, 2 days after Pearl Harbor. And we had a prolonged discussion on what was going through their minds at that time, and how life changed for everybody on this planet during those years, and how grateful we are for those who served and protected our nation, and we will forever be grateful for those who have now been passing on, seems like every day, including we just had, who was it just passed away?
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole, thanks, Bob Dole. And so there's lots of memories that are made, and hopefully they've been written down to be shared. I was telling somebody before this meeting, I'm glad there was an Ernie Pyle that walked with the troops in the Pacific Islands and wrote copiously of the experience so that we could appreciate what the military had to go through in the jungles and on the seas during World War II. All right, well, let's begin. We're going to begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all please stand with me, and we'll pledge our allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rory, when you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Gettle.
Here.
Glover.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Robinson. Here. And Sperry.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we will invite any of the public that would like to address the City Council to come forward into the microphone. You can use it, and if you'd state your name, and we'll give you about 3 minutes.
Hello everyone, my name is Adam Neal, and I'm a Midville city resident, and I really love this city. Just bought a house a couple years ago, very happy to be here. I'm also a pastor of a church called The Door, and our church was started way back in 1989 over by Joe Morley's right here in Midvale, and we moved around a little bit, went to Kearns, went to West Jordan, and now we're back. And so we're looking for different places where we can worship, gather to worship. And we're just kind of in a season where we have to be flexible. We're using the Midvale Performing Arts Center, and we're going to be using the community center in the park, and then we're also using Pioneer Hall in West Jordan. Anyways, one of the things that we've run into is that the community center is really, really nice. We like it a lot, and we'd love to use it basically as our primary meeting place, but part of the problem is that it's not open on Sundays, which is a big deal breaker. But the other thing is that scheduling is a little bit difficult, and there's a whole process involved that makes it kind of harder to use than I think makes sense for a community center. And we've learned quite a bit from using Midvale, Pioneer Hall, and then also actually we've also used Kearns Library as well. And we just found some really great ideas from these different places and how they host their meetings and gatherings. And then I also learned that the Performing Arts Center has a group that's running it, and they have a really cool relationship with the city where they're renting the building and then they're hosting all these plays, and it's really cool. I love how that's all working. And I was thinking we could do something similar with the community center, and we could host, or not necessarily, they wouldn't be church activities, but help the community have community events like book clubs and anything that the community would want to do, make it a little bit easier for people to host these kinds of things so it wouldn't be as difficult to schedule. And the other thing was I learned that you're currently reevaluating the price of the community center. And I feel like right now it's in the kind of sweet spot where someone in the community can use it. I'm a little concerned that if it's too much of an increase, that it's just not going to be as easy for people in our community to use it. So with the desire to see it run like a community center, book clubs, co-ops, social groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, things like that, just make it easier to use. I was thinking I would love to be the person that helps schedule those kinds of things in a similar way as the group does at the Performing Arts Center. So I want to make myself available for that. I just have a vision for using that community center a little bit more, again, for the community. And just so I'm clear, I'm not saying these would all be church events. They're not. They're community center events, trying to meet a need in the community. So that's all I have. Thank you for
Adam.
your time.
Thank you, Adam. Who do you want to put him in touch with?
I believe he's already been in touch with Kyle, and I think that's a good place. We have been reevaluating some of the stuff having to do with our events. We've had some staff turnover, and we're trying to figure out the best way to make sure that we're implementing those in a way that makes sense. The other thing that we found as we went through this last year is that there ends up being a little bit more cost than we had anticipated as far as staffing and some of the things for particularly the community center. And so we have been looking at if there needs to be a fee increase. Of course, if we were to do that, we would have to come back to you to approve that. We hope that's something that we can get done in relatively short order. But as far as looking at other ways of using the facility or whatever, I mean, we're of course always open to having discussions with that, and I think continuing that with Kyle would make sense.
May I make a comment?
Yes, Adam.
Just want to add that with Pioneer Hall, one of the things that they do in West Jordan is people go to City Hall and pick up a key, and then they open it and close it themselves. And that would eliminate the need for right now. The process for the community center is someone, I believe from the Public Works Department, has to go and do a walkthrough of the facility before and after each event. And obviously that increases the cost because you're increasing the number of people that have to be involved with each event. And someone is scheduling all of that as well. It just seems like an unnecessary cost. You don't really need 2 walkthroughs per tenant. You really just need one after the tenant leaves, and that doesn't have to be done immediately. It can be done on the next business day during business hours. Again, it's just an unnecessary cost, and that's what Pioneer Hall does. They just have someone go after to make sure that it's in good condition, and then it's ready for the next tenant. You don't need to have 2 for every tenant. So I thought that was a really, really smart way of handling it, and I feel like you could probably come up with something similar for the community center.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Matt, just a question on that. Are we set up to have someone rent out the community center for like a Sunday for perpetuity? Is that something that we entertain normally?
That's not something that we have, was not contemplated in the original policies that we put together. The other thing is that right now we are not allowing anyone to try to do it in perpetuity while we try to figure out what these policies are so that we can figure out what the right thing is and have them locked in under the new agreed to policies. So if someone were coming in now, we would give them a certain amount of time in that facility, but we wouldn't allow it to be a year or in perpetuity.
Okay.
Can I address that too? Kern's Library has just a really simple thing where they just, they book their events as far in advance as they want to, and then they allow the public to schedule events 3 months in advance. So that means that Kern's Library has tons of time to schedule whatever they want to schedule, and then the public can just kind of fill in the gaps, and they just have 3 months. It's just not that, really that complicated. City has preference, and then everyone else can just kind of fill in if unused times.
And would you be using it weekly? Was that the plan?
Well, we would love to use it weekly. Again, we're using several places, and so that's kind of complicated. But again, especially since it's not even open on Sundays, so there isn't any kind of conflict in terms of scheduling. Yeah, we'd love to use it on Sundays. Again, in perpetuity sounds really final. We want to buy a building. We don't want to stay there forever. So we're talking about the near future. This is just a little stepping stone in our church's strategy. We've never bought a building, and so it's really important that we do that. We keep on getting leases where we renovate buildings, then we move on to another building, and it's just very costly, and keeping up with the market is very difficult. So this is just a short-term strategy for my church. We're trying to save money to buy some property that we can call our own. And so we're not talking about 10 years or anything like that. We're talking about the near future. And the other thing is, again, it's just as long as there's not a conflict in the schedule in terms of city events, it's not, you don't have to be frightened by it. It's just Sunday church until we can find a better spot or until you guys need it for something else.
All right,
Okay?
thank you.
Great.
Anyone else like to address the council on any subject? All right, seeing none. Unified Fire. Okay. All right, we now want to invite our Unified Fire representative, Chief Brad Larson, to address the council.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Always a pleasure to be with you. I feel privileged to be able to give these reports and kind of let you know what's going on. I'd like to start kind of globally with UFA and then kind of get into some neat things happening here in Midville that UFA is doing. Our recruitment efforts have gone along just great. We've had 21 individuals accept job offers, and 6 more are pending. And those 27, all that will be completed by the holiday, and the recruit camp begins the first week in February. We're already beginning recruitment efforts for the next 2023 camp. Looking ahead, trying to get ahead of that and recruit the best humans we possibly can.
Do they have to be human? Is that?
What's that?
What about robots? Might be.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe that'll be after I retire. Anyway, these efforts are going to include a short ad that'll run in all megaplex theaters prior to the movies, as well as billboards in our local communities. Those have proven to be pretty effective, and so we're moving forward with those. We've done some paramedic lateral hiring. We hired 4 lateral paramedics. That means that we are hiring medics that are already trained, that are coming from other entities, so they're able to hit the ground running and help us fill the gap with areas where we're running just a little short right now. They're going to spend 1 month in an evaluated ride-alongs with our seasoned paramedics, and then graduate sometime in January. COVID-19 vaccination update. We have nearly 90% of our UFA members that have been vaccinated. That's pretty phenomenal, I think. And we've started some pretty good efforts to provide the boosters to our workforce. I know vacation draw that we do every year when the firefighters come and pick their vacation days throughout the year. We've had some, I think Salt Lake County and other health departments, things like that, they're offering the booster shots, and a lot of our members are taking advantage of that. So those are some good things globally that we've got going on. Station 125, construction. The construction's about 110 days in right now. I know that if you look over there, you'll see some cinder block walls going up. Most of the concrete work is complete, as well as the rough-in plumbing. Some big things, so now the walls can start going up quickly. This week you should begin to see some more framing and electrical conduit going in, so it's starting to look like a building. And we're happy with the progress there. Chief Burchett wanted me to pass on to all of you that if anyone would like a tour, you can contact him or me and we'll set something up so that you can go over there and take a look and see how things are progressing. One other thing I wanted to mention real quickly. We have started in the Fire Prevention Division a multifamily residential fire mitigation effort. Nationally and in the state of Utah, more fires occur in single-family homes and apartment buildings than anywhere else. We respond to about 15 in average, I think, per year of apartment fires in our UFA service area. That's pretty much the county. And so we're trying to start a program to help citizens be aware of some of the hazards in their home. The number one cause of fires in residential is cooking. And so we came up with a really nice flyer, safety tips that we're getting around to all the apartment buildings in Midvale and the rest of our service area. It's in English and Spanish. I sent a digital copy to Laura so that she can distribute in your social media network. So far, we've delivered these to about 1,200 apartment units in Midvale. And we've got a few more to go, but we're trying to partner with the managers in the apartment buildings to make sure that, and most of them are really doing well at this, I'm finding as we go talk to them, at making sure the smoke detectors are working in all the units. They do that on a regular basis, usually semi-annually. A lot of them have a really good fire hydrant maintenance program to make sure that if there is a fire and we get there, we've got water. They're doing some really good things, and we're trying to partner with them to see if there's other ways that we can help them to make the residents aware of how to be safe and prevent some of those fires from occurring. So anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention. I think that's a really good program. It's a challenge for our division because we're fairly limited in our staff, and they spend a lot of their time working with construction and inspections and those type of things. So we're trying to divide our time to get out to these units, and we hope to make this program more robust in the future. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I was hoping that Station 126 could be here tonight, but I think they got hit out on a call, so maybe we'll catch them here next time. Captain Chad Green was on today, and he actually started here in Midvale. He was there when I came in 2006, and now he's back as a captain here, so he's doing a great job with him and his crew, and as they all are. They all enjoy serving here. But anyway, that's it. Are there any questions for me?
Questions for Chief?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, now that I've got my agenda back in order, we will now turn to council reports and begin with Councilmember Paul Glover.
It's been a fun, it's starting of a fun season. I really enjoy the decorations that Public Works put up. Did a good job there. And it's fun to drive through the city and be able to see those. And they are looking a lot better than they used to. Also was fun going to the Christmas party on Main Street, the lighting of the Christmas tree. A lot of fun. And I think we've got ways to go, but we're getting there, starting to put things together. But thank you.
Good report. Councilmember Dustin Gettle, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, the Main Street event was amazing for those of you who were there. There was a football game I heard being played around the same time, but it was a good event. You know, it was really just 3 months ago that I mentioned a picture that I saw of, the old city hall lit up, and there it was, like right before our very eyes. So everyone who worked on that, including Heidi up here, but all the city staff, I know you guys were there putting in a lot of hours, and I really appreciate everything that you did to make that happen. And as Paul said, not every event is perfect, but we build on the successes that we have, and we learn some things, and maybe not so many fires next time. I don't know. My clothes needed to be washed a few times. But other than that, I don't think we could ask for a better event, especially for our first attempt at it, and who knows how many years since we've done a tree lighting ceremony. So very happy with that. Also, I wanted to mention one thing that the state is doing, and I don't know if we could mimic it. The state is offering financial incentives for those who get their COVID-19 vaccinations and also for their booster shots. And Matt, I was wondering if that was something we've considered or if you've looked into. For us, it's going through PEHP, our health insurance. So I don't know if that's something we could talk to our health insurance broker or, maybe just allocate some money.
Yeah. Well, the Select Health has offered $100 to those that get vaccinated
Oh, okay.
through our insurance. So, yes,
Okay.
we are.
And we share that information readily?
No, that's our health insurance.
It was. We sent an email to everyone in the organization.
Okay. One other thing real quick.
And by we, I mean Lori.
Another program that we've instituted this year is allowing employees to take 4 hours of mental health time. And I thought that would be something we might be able to look into as well. Just kind of a no questions asked. You have 4 hours of what you think might help your mental health, and as long as you have your supervisor's approval for that, and don't go over 4 hours, it's straight from the governor's office. So I thought that might be something to offer our employees as
Is that
well.
per day?
What's that?
Per day?
No, just 4 hours
Oh,
for the
come on.
calendar year.
Per day?
No, just, for the calendar year.
That sounds like
Okay.
a long list.
I mean, some of us could use 4 hours a day of mental health time, but yeah, just 4 hour. I mean, you don't have to take 4 hours at once. You could take an hour here, hour there. But yeah, anyway, that's all I wanted to bring up tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Quinn Sperry.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Bryant Brown.
Yeah, I have a couple things. I'd like to thank Public Works for getting those lights up. My daughters literally noticed that night. I was shocked because I watched them go up. I wasn't going to say anything, and we went somewhere, and they, maybe I'm on city council too long already, because they're like, Dad, just find other decorations to put up year-round, and just tell them to do that. So I told them it doesn't work quite like that, but they're like, there's something for spring. There's got to be. So that's how much they like it, is the way I look at that. It looks like this Thursday there could be some snow. I don't know if enough will be for Public Works to get out and clear it. We always talk about it, but I do think it might be wise to put on social media a reminder of our policy on when you can and can't park on the road for the winter before we see any snow. That way we're kind of not scrambling on, if we get 2 or 3 inches or something weird on Thursday and they can't plow. So if we can get that going, that'd be great. One thing I have noticed, I received a lot of complaints, questions from almost everybody's through the entire city on leaf pickup and bulk pickup. And since I've been here, we've gone from picking up leaves, from picking up monthly to having just twice a year. I would like to entertain the idea of moving the fall one to like mid-November. If we could talk to the company about that, because between people's gardens not being totally dead by then, most trees haven't fallen off till early-ish November unless some crazy cold front comes in. So, a lot of people, like on my street, no one was able to rake up their leaves before the bulk pickup. So if there's a way we can entertain, I don't know if you guys feel that way or if you've heard it, but I feel like that's a good compromise, if we can just move the fall one a month. I mean, obviously there'll be people that be like in October, like, oh, it's always in October, but we change it every year anyways. So I think, you know, if we could move that out, I think that would be good for the city cleanup purposes. And the last thing is I had a group reach out to me. They got selected to build a parade for the Days of 47, this Midvale group. The only thing that they were wondering is if there's they would like to start building it right away. Floats are not the best place to store in the winter, so they didn't know if there was any sort of area that they could store it, you know, within the city. I said, you know, we're kind of a small city, we don't have a lot of, you know, space, but I'd at least bring it up to the city. So if you guys can think if there's a place that they could at least, you know, park it or whatever, you know, let me know and I can let them know. Is that good? That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Heidi Robinson, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to express my appreciation for the Midvale Main Street Business Alliance for the Christmas event. For its first year, I actually thought it went really well, and I'd also like to thank Cody and all of the staff for all of the work they did on that. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
And thank you. My turn, and I want to welcome Station 126. We're glad to have you gentlemen here tonight and taking care of your business down here while I guess somebody's up there minding the store. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for your service very much. Today, as I mentioned before the meeting started, is our 80th anniversary for the attack on Pearl Harbor. And there are very few veterans left that served in World War II. And I hope if you know any, be they family, neighbors, acquaintances, former employees where you work, that you give them a big pat on the back, a shake of the hand, and a hearty thanks for the service that they provided during those troubling years from about 1941 to 1945. And we've had conflicts and wars since then. It seems like every decade we roll in through something. So thanks to all veterans who have served, are serving, and those who are considering service in protecting our nation from influences that destroy it, both from within, our police and FBI, and from without, our military service. So thanks to all who serve our nation. I had the privilege of cutting ribbon on a new business on 7200 South, a laundromat, and those business owners were so happy to be open and running their business. And they compliment, Nate, they compliment your department for how easy it is to work through the process. They've done business in other cities that nothing to compare with Midville. It's just like greased lightning here. And they appreciate that. Besides our Main Street celebration, I had the opportunity also to attend the Hillcrest High School play, Holiday Inn. And I'll tell you, the kids there are so numerous, and their choreography, their singing, their acting parts, all were done with such enthusiasm. And boy, if you haven't been on the inside of Hillcrest High School's brand new inaugural auditorium now, you need to watch for the next play that you can go to and get up there and see that. It's spectacular. And the acoustics in there are impeccable. They're just absolutely wonderful. And they got a orchestra pit that you wouldn't even know is there, except you can hear them perfect. They really love doing that part too. So just a word to say, take advantage of Hillcrest High School and the plays that they have up there this year. And the Sperry boys were wonderful. Council member?
Thanks, Mayor. I'll let them know.
Yeah, they were.
They weren't the only ones that were great, but it
No,
was fun
but
to watch them.
yours were. Yours did a great job. The other thing I want to bring up before we're too far along is I've got a flyer up here. All the members have it. There's a committee at the county level that is called the Community and Economic Development Advisory Council, or CDAC. And they help with many ways of spreading county funds that come from the federal government within agencies in the county. Right now, our lone representative retires at the end of this year, and so we need to get a new person to represent Midvale on that council. And so I want to give everyone here an incentive to reach out to someone you know that has a few hours time, especially in the start of a new year. January through March is the work time, but go to them and see if they'd be willing. And there's a contact information here on how to get logged into an application. But I really want to encourage all of the council and citizens to take advantage of this and get our city more involved in our community development. Okay, I think that concludes my remarks, so we're going to turn the time over now to our city manager, Matt Dahl, for his report.
Great, Mayor. Thank you. I'll keep it pretty short. First, I just also want to thank our staff for the work that they put into the Christmas party on Main Street this past weekend. While there were many staff members that helped, many of them are in this room. I do want to just give a special thanks to the driving force behind that, which was Cody Hill. The thing that is really kind of interesting about him is that, among the myriad of things, is that his email address is chill@midvale.com. And I have never seen anyone who has had such a significant event as that party be as chill as Cody was leading up to it. So anyway, thank you for your work on that. Appreciate it. And the only other thing is I was going to turn some time over to Rory to talk about a few things related to redistricting and ranked choice voting.
Yes, I had a chat with Sherry Swenson this week. They are looking at the RCV, and they are creating a more in-depth report. It's called the CRV report, but it's more in-depth so they could take a look at, I told them we wanted to look at sorry? I don't really know what it stands for.
Sorry, she does have a microphone.
I have what?
Microphone.
Do you want me to eat it? Get closer? Okay, sorry, I'm just a little short. Sherry Swenson and her group are creating a more in-depth report on the election to really look at the ranked choice voting and give us more information. So once I get that information, I told her we wanted to look at that and compare the traditional voting to the RCV, the ranked choice voting. And so we will take a look at that. As soon as I get that information from her, I think that would give us a lot more to go on than what we have currently. Because they didn't really give us, everything I gave you is what they gave me. They didn't give me a lot of in-depth information. And I'm used to having more of that breakdown by the districts, how many voted, things like this. They want to look at how many ballots were exhausted, things like that. So I'm still waiting for that information from them, and then I'll pass it on to you. We also talked about redistricting. She said that the boundaries currently need to be adjusted with the legislature. There are some boundaries that go through properties, not in Midvale necessarily, but just they need to have the legislature take a look at those boundaries, make those adjustments. They are going to go ahead and adjust their precincts now with the boundaries the way they are, hoping that there's not a big adjustment to be made. But once that is done, they're hoping that'll take place first thing in the legislative session. Then the cities can go through their redistricting process. So it's delayed just slightly into January, and hoping that the legislature addresses that issue fairly quickly in January, and then we can go ahead with the redistricting. Okay? that's it.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now move to department reports. Invite Nate Rockwood up to the microphone to give us what's going on in community development. Lots of stuff.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. Wanted to start off just by making Council aware of sort of an unfortunate technical issue that we're dealing with. Right now, we're in the process of doing business license renewals. Those are due January 15th. We typically send those out 45 days in advance of that. We have new staff in the process of running those renewal notices. The staff noticed some irregularities in some of the fees, and so started looking into that deeper and found that there was on quite a lot of them, there's been some irregularities in how those have been entered into the system in terms of the correct fees and the correct renewal amounts. And so rather than send those notices out that were incorrect, we held all of those. Some of them do go out electronically, but we held all of those. We've identified what the problem is. We're just going through kind of by hand now and correcting those so that everybody gets the correct renewal amounts for the type of business that they have. As we kind of go through that, some of these have been ongoing problems for quite a while, and so this is a good time to correct all of those. We will bring sort of updates as we go through that and as we see how that affects the fees that come in for that. We'll make council aware of that. But we are doing everything, and we will. We're taking steps to put some checks in place so that we can, as we get those all out, we can check that every single business has been entered in correctly and that we're sending out those right bills. So we're putting some procedures in place that guards against us ever sending out any incorrect licensing. But just thankful for the staff for catching that. It's nice when you have new staff come in and they find and identify problems and really dig in and start correcting those right away. And that's, what you love to see as a manager. So we will, as that gets going and we do get those right bills out, that we'll make sure that the businesses do have an appropriate amount of time to pay their bills. So we're not going to penalize anyone for us getting the notices to them late. There, of course, is a lot of businesses that know that their renewals are up, and so they've been calling, and we've been correcting those and getting them the right information right away so that they can pay their bills. But just wanted to let you know that our staff is on top of it, and then we'll keep you updated on that. The other thing, and you've all talked about it already, but the event, really happy with that and with the staff that put time into that. Council that put time in that, the community that was there. All of these different events are very important for that element of what we're doing with Main Street and trying to create a place, trying to create a feel that the city can be proud of and that continues to create that place, whether it's through an event, whether it's through architecture, whether it's through art, or the stores or the businesses that we have there. That all goes towards creating a place and making that a place that's special. When people come and visit it, they feel that. And when a business comes and wants to relocate there or wants to, set down roots and, do a restaurant or any of these types of businesses that we're seeking out, that place-making feel is huge when they're evaluating whether this is the right place for their business. So every little piece counts, and we'll continue to keep tweaking that and pushing for those events and for those different elements that will make Main Street special. But I'd love to hear you thank the staff, because the amount of time that goes into putting on an event, you have no idea the amount of time and stress that goes into that. So it's nice when it comes away feeling good and seeing that residents were happy. Those are the updates that I have. If there's any questions for me about RDA or community development, happy to answer. Thanks.
Thank you, Nate. We'll now move to a series of public hearings, and I'd like a motion to open public hearing.
Mayor, I move that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Any comments or question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, we're now in a public hearing. The first one will be to consider an amendment to the Midvale City Municipal Code relating to fencing of solar arrays, Chapter 17-7-10.12. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This first code text amendment addresses fencing around solar panels, solar energy systems that are located on any slope or open area near that Zion's campus. This would allow fencing to be placed around those basically for safety purposes, to keep them safe from passersby, if you will. We are requiring, if this passes, that the fencing be of open material and that it be limited to 7 feet in height. This went to the Planning Commission on November 10th. They recommended approval. It was a unanimous recommendation, and it's before you tonight. It's quite straightforward in nature, and the area that it does cover is that Jordan Bluffs sub-area 1 through 3 zone, so it's specific to that Zion's campus.
I have one question. Why does being open matter, right? Like, what if they wanted to block it in all the way? Like,
The idea behind keeping it open was to kind of keep that open feel for that open space area, as opposed to kind of a walled-off facility. Originally, there was no fencing proposed at all, and so when we looked into it, when Zion's wanted to enclose that area, or not necessarily enclose it, but protect it, we realized that the code didn't allow it, and so we thought, well, how can we allow for this but still kind of keep that open feel?
I just think of like the Salt Lake City South campus, I think it is, along tracks. You know, they have a handful of solar arrays behind a fence, and I think they just have like gravel and stuff underneath it. And if it's not kept, I mean, that would look worse than like hiding it.
Yeah, and I
sense?
can see where you're coming from too. So again, that was just, the proposal was for that open fencing. If you feel that allowing basically a solid enclosure is better, obviously that can be looked at, but this is what the Planning Commission recommended, and so we're just bringing it to you tonight.
Any questions more for Adam?
I'll just add that the representatives from Zion's or Gardner wanted to be here. I don't know if they've arrived yet, but they are in support of this as well, and we're fine with the open material. So.
Okay.
When we say open, what kind of materials?
It could be like
Could they
rod.
use anything like chain link fence and stuff?
No, that might be good to throw in, but more the idea that they had was like a wrought iron, an iron type of fence that.
Yeah, I would just hate to see chain link fence all the way around the place.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
look like it wouldn't look good.
Yeah.
I
If
would
you
just
feel that sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think that we should include language that specifically prohibits the use of chain link fencing, because in this, to me, when I see non-obscuring, you know, that's the first thing that I think of. Well, they're going to put a chain link fence here.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like to see that prohibition.
And that's something that I would imagine you could add to any motion of approval if you so wish. And we would make that change before it goes into effect.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address this particular proposal, you're welcome to come to the microphone and give us your name and state your reasons. I see none, so I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any questions or comments on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, now let's,
I do have one other question I'd like to ask. So back to talking about it not looking good, do we have any ordinance that they have to keep that so that it looks decent, that it doesn't come up with weeds and crap in there and all of that stuff?
I think it would,
I mean,
any of the nuisance ordinances would apply to this area as they would anywhere else in the city, and so I think that would be something that we can always fall back on
are we sure of
for
that?
that. I'm fairly sure. I would have to do a little bit of research. Maybe the attorney or Nate would know, so.
Yes, just to add on that, specifically within the development agreement, we do have maintenance standards for the slope that they have to maintain, so we have that.
I just don't want it to turn into a garbage dump.
Yeah, we've got that in terms of what type of grass they have to have there, and how they do weed mitigation and all of that is in the development agreement.
Okay.
okay. Anyone like to make the motion recommended here?
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 2021-024, amending chapter 17-7-10.12 of the Midvale City Municipal Code with the finding noted in the staff report and with the prohibition of chain link fencing as discussed.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Rory?
Councilmember Sperry.
Aye.
Glover.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
And Gettle.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Our second public hearing tonight is to consider an amendment to the Midvale City Municipal Code relating to landscaping setbacks. And again, Adam.
Thank you.
We need a motion to open the public hearing. Sorry, Adam.
I move that we go into a public hearing.
Second?
We got a motion and a second to open a public hearing. Any question on the motion? Other than my slow draw? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. Go ahead,
All right.
Adam.
This code amendment is in basically just across the street, if you will, from the one we just discussed to the east. This deals with setbacks, build two lines for residential structures within the Jordan Bluff sub-area 4, specifically for those along the setbacks along Sagini Drive. The applicant is requesting that the setback or build two line be reduced from 30 feet along this area to 20 feet. They have a proposal that they would like to bring forward, a housing product that kind of utilizes front porches and whatnot, and they feel that by bringing that product closer to the street, it creates more of a neighborhood feel, brings it a little more into a human scale, if you will. The area is unique in that on one side of the street on Sagini Drive, there is a 30-foot setback. This is the development called the Reserve at View 78. They developed with the 30-foot setback, and then immediately north of them, this is Parkview, they developed at a 20-foot setback. Both of these followed the code for those particular areas. They are both along Sagini Drive. The development that would utilize the 20-foot setback is basically along the west side of, the west side of Sagini Drive, along that entirety. So along the north, it would be similar to this setback, and then that would extend all the way to the south. The Planning Commission looked at this one as well and recommended approval of the code text amendment going from 30 feet to 20, again, specifically just along Sagini. The other streets would maintain that 30-foot setback.
I'm a big fan of this. I think moving things, closer helps maintain that community feel. Is there any other unintended consequences? Like, are they going to try to put more units in or something along those lines?
No, this doesn't allow them to place additional units. It's really just the product type that they're looking at. They wanted front porches, but they felt bringing those an additional 10 feet closer just gives it more of that feel as opposed to keeping it further back.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Well, I know I can, so I will, but how, these two communities you just mentioned are so close to each other. So how is it possible that one developed to 20 feet and one developed to 30 feet, and they were both within our ordinance?
So the one on the north, there was a specific call out in the code for that particular area. And the one on the south, there wasn't the call out for that. I looked into that as well as I was looking at it. I thought, how did these develop, one at 20, one at 30? And again, the code specifically had called out that particular development as being exempt from the requirement. And so instead of just making a development exempt on a case-by-case basis, this proposed development would finish development along Saguini, along that west side. So we thought a code change really doesn't cause any unintended consequences because the development will be finished on this road after this. So
My only issue is just that it will look very obvious that one has been developed at 30 feet and all of the surrounding ones have been developed at 20 feet. So it doesn't, I don't know, I guess, maybe just because we're playing insider baseball, we will know, and maybe other people won't, but, I don't love that there's going to be a different look to everything but the reserve at 78.
and along the south end, I believe that's Ivy on the south, they will still follow the 30-foot on there, and then the main north and south road.
Bingham Junction.
Bingham Junction, yeah. I want to say Jordan Bluffs, but in my head I know where it is, so.
Any other questions or comments for Adam on this issue? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to address this particular proposal, you're welcome to come to the microphone, state your name.
I'm the applicant. Would you like me to
Absolutely.
come up now or later?
No, now's fine.
Okay, great.
Just give us your name.
Okay. Well, Adam seems to be the right name tonight, and I am another Adam, so I'm number 3. Adam Langford, Wasatch Residential Group, 620 South State Street, Salt Lake City. This overall project is a long time coming, finishing it up with this phase, which is the last phase. Many of you were here when we started this process on phase 1, 2, and 3. But this is the last and final phase. So this code change only affects this zone, which only affects this last phase. We are the only neighbors in the area. And like Adam said, it doesn't affect Bingham Junction. It doesn't affect Ivy, which are wider roads, which carry more traffic. It really affects Saguini, which is a residential road. And we like the idea of having this new housing product, which basically looks like a big house with front porches on it, up against the road. Anyway, we support it. We're excited to do this last phase of the project. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any for this, Adam? Adam 3.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
And I, again, invite anyone from the audience. Looks like we just have employees out there now. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on this item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, we're closed, so if someone would like to propose a motion.
I move that we approve, wait, this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be approve as opposed to recommend approval.
Okay, yeah,
so.
I went to read it, and I went,
Yeah.
that's a little different. Mayor, I move that we approve to amend Chapter 17-7-10.11 relating to landscape setbacks, Bill 2 lines of the Midvale City Municipal Code with the findings noted in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion?
Mayor, I just want to mention, I struggle with this one, just, living there at Parkview. I know that, yes, it might look better, but I also know the reality of the fact that the 30 feet of grass between the road and the structures are where people tend to walk their dogs and let their dogs do their business. So reducing that by 10 feet through the entire stretch of Seguini Drive is going to significantly reduce some green space in the front of these units. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys.
Okay, thank you. I guess they have to walk their dog more linearly. The 20 foot rather than laterally.
Well, you know, my biggest issue is if you go to, I forget, the reserve at 7,800, the 30 feet of grass, and I've talked about this before, is just littered with dog remains. So,
Not dead remains.
no, yeah, the remnants of a dog that has been walked in that grass. So, you know, I understand, you know, the value of how it's going to look, but I also know the reality of, you know, what that grass is used for.
Any other comments or questions before we? Yes, sir, come on up.
I don't know if I can, while you're in the middle of,
You have to open it.
have a couple answers that I think might help that.
Would the council entertain a,
I motion we open public hearing.
Second?
okay.
So one thing about the reserve and the 30-foot setback on Seguini is that there is a portion of the liner. So that phase, the majority of it is not on the liner. And there is a phase that runs along Seguini, and that's why the building is set back the 30 feet, so that we stay off the liner.
Yeah, I guess what Dustin's saying, or Councilman Gettle's saying is, and I've noticed it when I've gone to his place, is very, not very good dog owners that live
Yeah.
there. I mean, and so I think at the end of the day, what we really need is for the property managers to really
Yeah.
lean on that and push on
Yeah.
that. And I know that's hard to do, but I mean, you kind of signed up for it when you
Yeah.
pack that many people in there.
Well, that's Wasatch, so I can take
Yeah.
that back to property management. And as far as we're not really losing open space by moving the setback to 20 feet. The open space is still there in the project.
It'll just be in a different.
Yeah.
I think, you know, going forward in the future, when we get these, it would be nice to see the concept of it, right? Because it
Yeah.
looks like we are losing 10 feet of open space, and then that's it, you know, and maybe that's on us, maybe you've provided that or something like that. But it would be nice for us to see it, because then we
Yeah.
can have a little bit of a visual, so we know that there's the open space there.
Yeah, the open space is still there, it's just not in that location anymore.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, a motion to close the public hearing again.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. Now, we've had our motion, so Rory, you can ask the question.
Councilmember Glover,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Brown,
Yes.
Gettle,
No.
and Sperry.
Thank you, 4-1. We have our third public hearing to consider New Star LLC, Bruce McMullen, requests minor and final subdivision approval to subdivide a duplex located at 495 and 497 Acoma Road in the single-family residential duplex overlay, SF1 duplex overlay zone. Elizabeth.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Good evening. So this is for a final subdivision. This property is located there. You'll see 215 just to the north, so it just kind of backs right up there.
Hold it just a second. I need a motion to open the
Oh,
public hearing.
sorry.
Sorry.
So antsy.
Second?
We got a motion and a second to open this public hearing. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, now, go for it.
Okay, so it's an existing duplex already on the property, and the proposal is just to subdivide it to allow for individual ownership. So this is their concept site plan. They have submitted, you know, a normal plat like you would see. So the recommendation, the recommended motion is the same as included in your staff report. So the Planning Commission did forward this with a recommendation for approval. you'll see the same typo, but it's just an approval at your level, so,
Okay.
thanks.
Any questions for Elizabeth?
I'm a big fan of like the hand-drawn site plan. I think it's cool.
All right. This is a public hearing again, folks, so if anyone would like to comment on this, you're welcome to come to the microphone. I see none, so I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on item C. Any comments or questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed, and I'll entertain a motion.
Wasn't there some public comment in opposition to this that was in the packet?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, has that been was that concern addressed in the planning commission?
They did have a concern that wasn't raised at the planning commission level. It was included in your summary report. If I'm remembering correctly, they had concerns about duplexes and parking and increasing density along their street. Not really sure what to do about that at this point because it's an existing duplex. They're just allowing for individual ownership, so.
Yeah, I mean, density, I mean, it shouldn't increase, right? It's
No.
The use is staying the same, it's just
Yes.
splitting it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then on the action.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final subdivision located at 495 to 497 Acoma Road, consistent with the findings noted in the summary report.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions on the motion before we proceed? Rory, would you ask the questions then?
Yes, Councilmember Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Sperry.
Aye.
And Glover.
Aye.
All right. And our final public hearing, I'd like a motion to open on, to consider Maria Paredes' request minor final subdivision approval to subdivide a duplex located at 7531 South Birch Street in the single-family residential duplex overlay SF1 DO zone. A motion, please.
Mayor, I have a motion that we move into a public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to open a public hearing. Any comments or questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? I hear none, so we are now in a public hearing for this one. Liz.
Okay, so similar situation, they're building a duplex there currently located just here on Birch Street, as you'll see. They are just subdividing to allow for individual ownership of the units. So they've submitted a final plat, and Planning Commission did see this and did recommend approval. And the motion and findings have remained the same as included in your summary report.
What's their timeline? I mean, I think they dug this hole 4 years ago. And I'm not even being facetious, so I'm just curious, or maybe 3 years ago. Like every time I've driven by it, are they looking to finish it soon?
They have their building permit approved, and last time I was there posting notices on the property, it was going.
Okay,
so.
yeah, because people have been asking, they're like, there's been these holes there for several years. What's the plan? I'm like, I think it's just moving forward, no changes, right?
Yeah, no.
But it has been a long time coming.
Good observation. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public like to address this motion, proposal? Okay, I see none, so I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I
We
move
close the
the,
public hearing?
second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on item D. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, we're closed. So we'd like to make the proposal on this.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final subdivision located at 7531 South Birch Street, consistent with the findings noted in the summary report.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Okay, Rory, go for it.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Sperry.
Aye.
Glover.
Aye.
And Robinson.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll now move to the consent agenda to consider minutes of November 16th, 2021, and to approve resolution number 2021 R39, a resolution establishing a time and place for holding a regular city council meetings, the mayor pro tempore schedule and adopt the holiday schedule for the 2022 calendar year. Anything you'd like to add to that, Rory?
No.
Okay.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this consent agenda. Any comments or questions on the motion? Rory?
Councilmember Gettle,
Yes.
Sperry,
Aye.
Glover,
Aye.
Robinson. Aye. And Brown.
Yes.
All right, batted 1,000 on that one.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we'll reconvene here in just a minute for a very short RDA meeting. I'd like to call to order the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City meeting on this December 7th. And we'll have a roll call next.
Board Member Brown.
Here? That was
Sorry.
here.
Robinson. Here. Glover.
Here.
Gettle.
Yes.
And Sperry.
Here.
All right, we're present. We'll entertain any public comments. All right, the one we have out there said he doesn't have any, so, all right. We'll move on next to the consent agenda to consider the minutes of November 9th, 2021, and an approval of Resolution 2021-23 RDA, a resolution establishing a time and place for holding redevelopment agency meetings for the 2022 calendar year. That's it. I'm not going to read any more.
Okay. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We got a motion and a second to approve this consent agenda. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. Rory?
Board Member Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Sperry.
Aye.
Robinson. Aye.
Very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you all.
And one more.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
MBA.
Where is mine? Okay, I just wondered where mine was. Oh, there, I got it. Thanks. Okay, signal when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, I get to bang this one more time. You ready? Calling to order the Midvale City Municipal Building Authority meeting on this December 7th. And I want to welcome everybody here. We've got quite a crew. Rory, would you like to call the roll, please?
Yes. Board Member Brown.
Here.
Robinson. Here. Glover.
Here.
Gettle.
Here.
And Sperry.
Okay, one final time for the public, if you want to comment, you may come up to the microphone now. I tried 3 times.
Okay.
They only came on the first one. Okay, we're going to close the public comments then and move on to a consent agenda to consider the minutes for June 15th, 2021 and approve Resolution 2021-06 MBA establishing the time and place for holding municipal building authority meetings for 2022 calendar year.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this consent agenda. Any comments or questions? All right, Rory, one last time.
Board Member Gettle.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Sperry. Aye. Robinson. Aye. And Brown.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Third time's the charm.